Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today, we're going into r/ entitled parents, where parents are, as you may have guessed, very entitled, and people have to deal with the fallout of their actions. If you enjoy, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave this running in the background if you got things to do, and let's get started, shall we? Mom wants me to buy a house closer to hers because she doesn't like to drive 20 minutes to see her grandchild. So, for some backstory, when I met my fiance, we hit it off very fast because we were very much on the same wavelength, and by chance lived close to one each other so we could easily spend lots of time together. So, after just 6 months, I was ready to move into her apartment with my dog, but sadly, her landlord said no because of said dog. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise because we realized that buying a condo would cost him almost as much as buying a house, considering the current market in Canada. So we ended up looking for a house. My first instinct was to search around where I grew up, where my mom is, because there's lots of parks around, which made my childhood pretty awesome with friends. Very rapidly, though, it became evident that our budget of $575,000 maximum, renovations included, would not allow it. I tried literally 100 times to explain to her that borrowing $25K from her would make a big difference in our options, but she shot me down every time and laughed at me when I insinuated that we wouldn't be able to buy in her neighborhood. I never asked her for a gift. I always said I would pay her back, and the intent behind the loan was to keep us more easily above water for the first few years. So anyway, I ended up finding a home last year within our budget, shockingly on the island of Montreal where I work, which we both thought we would never be able to find. The house is fairly odd but spacious, with a backyard and with enough room to have two kids. We just had our first one. When my mom learned of this, she freaked out. I would describe for the first time in my life her attitude to be purely toxic. She hated that house and essentially said, "It was a mistake," and proceeded to insult everything about it and basically by proxy called me a dumb idiot for buying it in all conceivable ways without directly saying it. She wanted me to be 5 minutes away, but now I'm 20 minutes away, 45 during rush hours. In over a year, she has only stayed for dinner once. Each time I invite her over, I get no with an excuse as to why she can't make it. She often calls me on the weekend for me to come over to her place with the baby. But when I boomerang the invite back with, "Hey, it's been a while, how about you come over to my place?" I'm usually told, I have gardening to do and stuff in the backyard," and she ends up not coming. We had brunch last weekend and I heard her complain that she doesn't see her granddaughter enough. So I pointed out to her that we said she's literally welcome to drop in at any time, just not weekends. But she said that she obviously couldn't come on weekdays because she works. My mom is 68. She has worked 45 years at the same hospital as a secretary. She's the oldest worker there and has her pension fully paid off with lots of days off and a boss that loves her. She can take an afternoon off or a day off to spend time here anytime she wants. So I pointed that out and she said she's not the kind of person to leave her coworkers in the dirt by taking days off. She just came back from 2 weeks vacation to Greece, but anyways, so I finally snapped back that she'll be able to see her grandchild more often on the days she's not last in priority behind her coworkers. Her job, her gardening, a sunny day in her backyard, and a 20-minute drive. To which she seemed insulted. So now the current story is, yesterday she sent me a listing for a home 5 minutes away from hers. "If you're interested, there's a house for sale on Francis Street for $500,000. It's a pretty 3-room, 2-bathroom. You can look." No. Why would we get back into that boat looking for a new house similar to what we already have just 1 year after buying this one? We'll buy when we have enough to buy a house with a second floor, and only if we feel the house is too small with 2 kids.
It has 3 rooms on the same floor, 2 bathrooms that are renovated. Not quite similar since you have more money to invest. But I just wanted you to have a look. Fine, I'll mind my own business. Have a good day.
Are you kidding me? She wouldn't loan me 25,000 and she expects me to spend $500,000 on her so that she doesn't have to drive to see her grandchildren. My father, my fiance's family, they all live further away from her, but they all come around way more often. So, anyways, that was my entitled parent story. And someone in the comments says, "Oh my god, the entitlement just steaming off your mother is so disgusting. 20-minute drive is not crazy." How does your fiance feel about all this? Maybe a blessing in disguise if your mom isn't willing to drive you. Lord knows she would be all up in your house, your finances, and the baby's business. And then OP says, "That's the funny thing. My mom treats her very well, while obviously this story doesn't makes her seem selfish and entitled. That's not how I would describe my mother at all throughout my life. She isn't selfish, spiteful, or mean. My fiancée said so herself, actually, when I told her about what happened. She said it's a shame because she treats her very well, but she's sad for me because she's clearly bruising our relationship almost over nothing. My mom doesn't have a lot going on in her life other than work. No hobbies or anything. She just started traveling further than the US like 2 years ago for the first time in decades. I think part of all this is clinging to her only child and not handling very well the fact that things are changing and now I'm much more independent. That would be my guess anyway. Anyways, on to the next story of the day.
You're pregnant. I can't have more children, so this is a blessing sent to me from God.
I have lurked in entitled parents and thought some of the entitlement was mere legend. No way a person could feel entitled to another's baby. I was wrong. My sister called me, distraught and livid, to discuss if there's anything we could do to help my niece. She's a newly young mother at the beginning of her pregnancy. She shared the news with my family, including her boyfriend's mother. Apparently, the relationship was already strained. The boyfriend's mother was an alcoholic and difficult mother to have, according to her son. The first thing this crazy witch said in so many words, and how it was a sign from God, giving her another chance because she can no longer have any children. She really said this. After so much from his mother, they decided to go no contact. The day came for her to have her baby, and it went smoothly, especially without any entitled toxicity. The end. Ha! I wish. She came home after being introduced to motherhood for one day. Children's services were waiting. They received an quote-unquote anonymous call that my niece partied all the time, drank, and did drugs. Enough BS was reported and sent to them as quickly as being released from the hospital. It was obvious that this was the doing of his mother. My niece released the records from the hospital to provide proof that she had a clean drug screening. They routinely do drug screenings on mother and child. I'm not sure why. Perhaps it's because of insurance. I've heard of this before. It's all standard. Aside from making a vague police report as advised, nothing can be done. He's a beautiful baby boy, 3 months old now. His smile is adorable, and at times I see my sister. My niece is a good mom too. Now her boyfriend's evil mother posts any photos she can get a hold of for mother profiles of the baby on social media, which low-key pisses me off. I suppose never holding him and never not being allowed in his life is a good punishment. Not a single photo will be posted of her in the same photo as the baby. I wish I was posting a revenge sub, but alas, the tale of the haggard witch who will never see her first grandson goes here with the rest of the low-life entitled people. They might be able to get a temporary restraining order and then a long-term one if they go to court. They can send her a cease and desist letter first by certified mail, and then use that plus the CPS report and proof of social media activities after the first letter was received to get the order. Also have them make the most photos private and online. Allow people who don't have contact with this woman to see them. Anyway, on to the next story. Mom closes sliding glass door on my head and says I'm overreacting and it's not a big deal. I was talking to my parents when they were outside, and then if they mentioned how they accidentally slammed the door on one of our dog's heads and wanted to test if it hurt. So these geniuses' idea is to close it on my head, because my head is in the path, and they say they want to test it. And I think they're joking because that's insane for anyone to do, especially their kid, but no! They just close it on my head and say it was
Just a joke. It shouldn't have hurt. It was a light tap. Why are you making such a big deal out of this?
Meanwhile, my head is ringing like crazy and having a headache. They get mad at me for being upset at them and try to guilt trip me and say,
Why are you still stuck on this? It's not a big deal. You're just a weakling. You're really going over the top. You're behaving so well recently and you have to ruin it now.
my head still hurts and I'm going to go to sleep now and try to go to feel better tomorrow. Your parents are idiots. Abusive idiots at that, but anyway, that sounds like assault to me. Oh my god. My sister thinks it's okay to bring her kids to my house unannounced and let them trash the place. Now, I love my sister and her kids, but she's been showing up my house without warning, expecting me to entertain her two young kids, aged 5 and 7. At first, I didn't mind too much. Family time's important, right? But it's gotten out of hand. Last week, she dropped by with the kids while I was in the middle of working from home. She didn't even knock, she just walked in. I tried to explain that I needed to focus on my work, but she shrugged it off and said,
They'll be fine. Just let them play.
By the time they left, my living room looked like a tornado hit. There were toys everywhere, snacks spilled on the floor, and a crayon masterpiece on my walls that I'm still trying to scrub off. I told her I wasn't comfortable with them coming over without giving me a heads up and asked if she could at least call first in the future. She got defensive, of course, saying I was being
Too uptight.
and that
The kids were just being kids.
now I'm feeling guilty for wanting to set boundaries. How do you handle a situation like this without coming off as the bad guy? Well, sadly, with people like this, you can't set boundaries without coming off as the bad guy, and if you're worried about coming off as the bad guy, you'll never be able to set boundaries. You gotta harden your heart and be like, screw it, we need to have boundaries, and just say it and put your foot down. But you could also go like this. Hey, your kid's trashed my place. When will you be over to clean it up? And when she tries to say she isn't, point out that you're not. Let me start that over. Hey, your kid's trashed my place. When will you be over to clean it up? Then, when she tries to say she isn't, point out that not taking responsibility for parent choices is what bad parents do, and asks if she wants her kids to grow up to become fentanyl addicts. Oh, that's one way to roast her. That's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Check out my Reddit story playlist with entitled Parents Stories. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye.